us in the studio today, we have Future Party. How are you?
Hey, it was so good.
Party in the house. The party's on the future. It's right here. So just to kind of start out, I like to allow our listeners just to know who's in the room with us. So do you want to just introduce yourself and explain just the instrument that you're playing tonight?
I'm Ramona. I am playing the synth, little mixer action, but yep, just that.
Awesome.
And I'm John. I'm playing guitar and singing songs.
Awesome.
I'm also singing.
Yes. Yes. The voice is an instrument as well, of course. And so I was reading up on your bio, and the original iteration of this band was formed all the way back from when you were in middle school, John.
Yes.
So do you want to give us a bit of the origin story of Future Party?
Yeah, no, it's great. We go way back. So there's two other guys in the band who are not present with us today. One lives in Pennsylvania, one's in Georgia right now, in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we were talking before the show about Pittsburgh and about Pennsylvania and all sorts of things. So, but we all grew up in this little town called Olean, New York, in Western New York, it's near Buffalo. And we started playing together in 6th grade.
Wow.
So we played all through high school and through college, and then after college, I moved to Japan, and that kind of ended the band for a while. And I came back and I spent some time in Vermont, and then after a while, it just felt like there's something missing. So I called them up and I was like, they're never gonna want to do this, but I'll just ask just to see. And they're like, it's like, do you want to start playing again? And they're like, yes, like immediately, no hesitation. They have like jobs and families and all this stuff, but right away, they just wanted to start playing again. So we did. And then, I think we had our first album recorded like a couple months later. And we're just like a year and a bit actually from reforming, but we've already gone on tour once. We already have another summer tour planned. We have 2 albums out. So yeah, we moved really fast. It was just really, really easy, like old times.
Yeah. So with like different band members being in different places, when you're like coming together to record, are you doing that? Like, do you spend like a weekend like somewhere where you're all together, or are you doing a lot of it like virtually?
Both. So we meet on Zoom every week and just kind of discuss what we're doing. Mostly like the fall is kind of like our writing, recording stuff, and we share files over the internet and just pass things back and forth until we're kind of happy with it. Last year we tried getting all together to record the first album, and that was really intense. We worked pretty much straight through for 4 days, barely sleeping, and then we got to the end of it and we're like, this all sucks. So actually the original tracks were way better. So we ditched a lot of it, and we ended up anyways, I think the first album was pretty good, but we didn't use a lot of the stuff that we recorded together. It's still a good experience, but yeah, so most of it's through distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when did you join the party, Ramona?
That's a good question. Actually, right before the tour last summer, I was going to just join them along and assist. And I got dragged into the garage when they were rehearsing with Steve and Eric. And they're like, hey, can you jump in on backing vocals here? And actually, can you hop on the synth and play this little bit? It was an intense kind of thrown to the wolves experience.
Yeah.
And we're the
and
wolves, I guess.
Then we had a show that night, and then the next, they were like, I think we did like Saratoga Springs, and then Brooklyn, and Burlington, and then Boston, and it was awesome.
And then you were in the band.
And then
you were official.
It was quick. It was quick, fast.
Yeah, but I feel like that's how bands are supposed to work. It's like this is my theory about how to learn an instrument is you join a band and you get a gig, and then you figure out how to play in that order, because otherwise it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it gives you that incentive, definitely. The motivation, if you have something to look forward to practice for sure. So when it comes to just like the writing process and, just the, I guess, ideation phase, excuse me, of just like compiling your ideas together, like who takes charge on what? Like, is there someone who comes up with like the lyrics? How do your songs usually take form? Like with lyric or tune or that kind of thing?
We work pretty well together. I think everybody sort of, whenever anyone has an idea, they just send it out to the group. Sometimes it's just like a voice memo in a text chat, and then you throw it into Logic and just kind of put another track over it and rework it. And almost, I would say, every time we get something better than what we were initially thinking, just by kind of throwing it in the pot and stirring it up and see what comes back.
Yeah.
But we're all pretty open to the iterative process. I mess around with other people's lyrics a lot. I don't know. I think the other two guys in the band, they weren't doing bands, but they were doing music this whole time. So Steve's a sound engineer and he teaches sound, and Eric teaches music professionally. So they're pretty good at what they do. But I guess like I'm kind of the dancing monkey that gets everybody out on stage. But
yeah. What do you feel like, I don't know, is your specialty when you're contributing to the projects, Ramona?
Feedback.
That's important though. Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a fascinating experience, just like listening to the seed of a song.
Yeah.
And then the evolution over time. It's like, it's pretty amazing seeing the transformations occur.
Totally.
I mean, you're also like 100% responsible for all the visuals.
That's cool.
Yeah, we have my day job is designing websites and
There
that
you
sort
go.
of thing. So
Yeah, that's helpful for sure.
some tricks up my sleeve for graphics.
Even just today, I was talking to another musician, and he looked us up, and he was like, "Oh yeah, your guys' website's really good." And it's like, "Oh yeah, well, we're actually web designers." So
I love that. Yeah, you got to use the tools you have at your disposal.
It's like kind of an unfair advantage.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to do it. So since your band started so early on in your life, and like, do you feel like premise of the band stylistically has also changed throughout the years, or do you feel like you've kind of stayed true to just like the genre or style that you started in?
Super, super different. In some ways, it's very similar. In some ways, it's very different. So like where we started in Western New York, there was this really weird kind of like noise scene in this very small town. Like we were playing in people's basements, and we were playing in the back of like this music shop when it was closed. Like, should definitely be illegal. But like, I mean, it was like where they keep the garbage, like that kind of thing. But there was just this weird hardcore noise scene there. And so that's sort of how we started. Now the tools have changed. So like, for example, we never had to use Logic or any of this kind of stuff. We'd just go to whoever's basement was open and we'd practice. And so we were writing songs that way. The most advanced thing we had was a 4-track tape cassette recorder.
Yeah.
So just using different tools, the fact that nobody's in the same room together changed things a lot. Having to learn how to use this thing, like some ways the bane of my existence, in some ways the best thing that's ever happened. Like it's just, I don't know, the amount of sounds that are available is really overwhelming. Before, if we wanted to try a new sound, it would be because we like literally found like Steve's dad was also a musician, and we found like a phaser pedal in the closet, and we were like, oh yeah, we got to use this. And so like, and that's how we'd used to find new sounds, like, because we didn't have any money, it was just like, we had to find stuff. But now it's like every sound ever produced is available to us, and it's just so like overwhelming. So we're kind of like kids in a candy store, just like throwing things together, and it's like, I don't know, this is kind of cool. Like actually, we're gonna play the first song we're gonna play tonight. This time was like very nearly the first thing I ever played on this, and it's kind of a mistake. And I was just like, that's a cool mistake. I'm just gonna keep that and see what I can do with it. But
yeah, totally. So this like latest album, like what's kind of like the theme of how you knew what songs to choose, and are the songs like older, like did you write them a while ago, are they like more new to, like, obviously Ramona's joined the group, or have you like kind of been sitting on them for longer?
I think we wrote everything since the last album. I don't think there's anything like, oh, there's one song, Hello, was left over from the last album that didn't get put on, but everything else was new.
Okay.
It's a lot more electronic than the last. I think it's more cohesive as an album. The first one was really just us being like, all right, we're gonna do rock and roll again. Like, how the hell do we do this? Kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and see what like we liked and what we could all tolerate together, because we all have slightly different tastes and whatnot. And this, we kind of understood each other a little bit better, I think, you know. So it's a little bit more cohesive from start to finish. My mom had just died right before the album came out, so there's a lot of like kind of grief processing, like celebrate. It was like that was, you know, it's like about when bad things happen, people get together and you celebrate. You know, it's like it's a sad thing, but that's also
a celebration of life.
Celebration of life, not to get like, you know, all dark on you, but
yeah,
there's a lot of that.
I mean, music is a force for good. It brings people together. So, yeah, no, that makes sense. So are all of the songs that you're playing tonight from the new album?
All but one.
All but one.
All but one.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Mouse is the one of the first songs I wrote with this this group of people.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Well, why don't we get started? Why don't we hear some of the music? I feel like this is the perfect segue.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'll give you a second to set up.
Cool. All right, let's do it.
And what tell us the names of the songs?
Oh yeah, the names of the songs as we go would be great.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. Ooh, yeah, oy. Gotta put the effects back on. Nice.
It's on, right?
That's on. And on the mixer.
And
Just a sec. So there's actually like, I guess, you know, in the camera you can't see, but there's like a bunch of people in this room. So could we actually get like a little bit of shouting? Just because, I mean, it is a live performance, even if it's like in here. Can we just get like a woo? All right, thank you very much. All right, what are we gonna start with this time?
this time.
Okay. All right. This is called This Time. This is a very spiritual song. In reality. I'm gonna fall right through my soul. This next song is called Building an Airplane with Friends. This last one is called Mouse, and it's about working really hard so that you can have a place to live, and then that place that you live in has mice in it. Crank it up a little bit. Not a man.
Future party. The last one was Mouse. I'll let you settle in a little bit, but awesome intro. Thank you. Thank you.
Whoa, grab the water.
Yes, please.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, that's fine.
So I guess kind of one of the questions to ask would also be, obviously it's the two of you now. So playing just as a duo versus playing as a full band, how do you feel like that either like changes your sound or just changes like even like the message that you're sharing?
That's a good question.
I mean, you were talking about it being a collective.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry.
The echoes are in the room.
This is just how we talk. We always talk with echo.
Yes.
It's still on, huh?
There we go.
How's that?
There we
There we
go.
Yeah, I mean, I think in order to function, spread out as we are, we just have to embrace operating as a collective. And if there's
Right.
a show that the other guys can't make it out to, then we're game to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is a sense like the world changes and technology changes, and it's like we can do this, so that's really cool. I also like the idea. I just saw Kraftwerk for the first time this year, which was just like totally like life-changing show, and it changed the way that I think about what we're doing, and the fact that like we can play our whole set. Any of us can play it solo, which is just like, that's a new thing. That was not possible when we were a band in the 90s. Like, I mean, it's just, I don't know, things are different, and it's nice to be able to kind of move with those changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, it's only going to get more technological. So it'll be interesting to see as time goes on. So in terms of like, I know you mentioned that you're touring for this like new album. Are you doing that like a mix of like the duo versus the full band? Are you doing mostly the full band? Like what will that look like?
I think everything that like technically counts as the tour, we're going to be full band for.
Okay, yep.
But we have maybe some, we're starting essentially now. We're going to be playing as a duo whenever we have the chance.
Yeah.
Wherever that is, whenever that is. And I think like our project now is just like somebody gets a show, you just like tell us, and then everybody that can make it, and whoever booked it has to go, but like otherwise we're just doing the best that we can.
Yeah.
Given that, the furthest member's in Georgia. And
right.
It's a
like,
pretty far drive.
yeah. And just to like props to Eric, he drove up from Georgia to play a show at Despacito last year.
Wow.
So like there's some commitment there too,
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That sure is commitment. And so I know that you had mentioned in your bio that you're touring, obviously, Vermont, New York, and PA. So are there any like specific, I know that you said that you're from New York and that region, but like any specific like places within those states or like reasonings for like those three specific places?
Well, Steve lives in Pittsburgh.
Right. Yeah.
And so that was a natural. We hadn't done that yet. So this is a new.
Nice.
We had to put out feelers and get to know the scene there. And the local bands. And we're bringing friends with us to do a show.
Yeah. So Architrave is going to play. Architrave from Albany is going to play with us a bunch of the shows.
Yeah.
For Pittsburgh and Buffalo.
Right.
Well, and Buffalo is basically their hometown extension.
Okay.
Right.
Just more of a scene.
So, the initial plan was like, we're going to drive out of Burlington, we're going to hit every small town on the way, we're going to hit Buffalo, and then end up in Pittsburgh. And that plan did not work at all. So like, we're kind of getting what we, I mean, that's what happens when you try and book a tour 2 months before you're actually doing it. But
Yeah. So it's starting this summer that you're going to start touring.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's a great time. So I also wanted to ask about, you shared this fun fact with me, before the interview about during that time when the band was in more of a quiet time when you moved to Japan, you lived as a Zen monk for 10 years.
Yeah.
So you have to tell us more about this. Like you can't give me a fun fact like that and then not elaborate. So
right.
Yeah, tell us about that. And then also, I'm like so curious to know, like, if you feel like that experience has inspired your music as well.
Whew. Yeah. Yeah. So, note to myself: when I give people fun facts, I should probably think about what I'm going to say about it before
I
when
mean,
they
it's a
then
big
ask
question.
what the fun fact was. But let's see. So, okay. So, starting with, has it inspired my music? Well, so spending 10 years in a monastery will like just change your approach to life across the board.
Totally, yeah.
But like, I think it matches up with our approach, just like thinking about it from the musical angle. Like, we were all, like Eric and Steve and I, before, we were all very committed to music as a way of life before I left. And music and sound has always been a huge part of like all of our spirituality. And even when, I was essentially silent, I was doing a lot of listening, and we did a lot of chanting, and there was music in that. And so I was always thinking musically, and that's still the case. That hasn't really changed. What did change was I didn't do a whole lot of dancing while I was in the monastery, or very much singing. So with the exception of like sneaking out to do karaoke every once in a while. So kind of allowing myself back into movement and into expression and being outward with it. That's kind of new.
John is really like our cheerleader for stage presence.
Yeah.
I do what I can.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that you both have it, just as an observer and listener, the stage presence going for you. But yeah, that's really interesting what you're saying about like kind of falling back into movement and wanting to incorporate that more. I guess like dive into that a little bit more. Like, what do you like hope to showcase through like the like, I guess sort of like the theatrics of the movement and whatnot, and like how do you feel like what you do on stage also is telling your story of the song that you're singing?
Right. Yeah. Like, I want to say that like another sort of core spiritual predecessor to the way that we do music, like Jonathan Richman, just seeing him play live and be just so completely vulnerable on stage. Like to see somebody that's just so completely open and so completely just who they are and willing to not hold back. That's kind of what I'm aiming for, or we're aiming for.
Yeah.
I'm not there, like, by a long shot. Like I feel very restrained, compared to that. But that's sort of what I want to aim for, like in our singing, in our songwriting. Like I try and leave stuff in that feels embarrassing. Like if a song just feels like it's done, like it's perfect and it feels really good, then it feels kind of wrong. Like I feel like there has to be something that's like embarrassing, something that you would
vulnerable.
be vulnerable. Yeah, well, yeah. But I mean, how that manifests for me is embarrassment, like,
yeah. That's funny just to think of it that way, but I think that makes sense. Yeah, is there anything that you feel like through like your movement, Ramona, that you like?
I mean, I was a dancer for a long time.
Okay,
we
yeah.
were talking earlier about ballet. I was like, that was my life.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
A long time. Up through college, but it's been a really long time since I've been on a stage. But it's funny coming back. It sort of feels like a full circle thing, getting onto stages now.
Totally.
As a band. So
yeah,
it's still a performance.
Yeah, and that vulnerability piece that you're talking about, I mean, like, music is vulnerable, and being on stage and sharing your story, even just your presence, is a vulnerable thing to do. So I guess kind of like a cool follow-up to that would be like, when you're, I don't know, like mentally preparing for performances, knowing that you're going into it with that intention of being vulnerable, like, are there any like practices you have to, I mean, you were, a monk. So is there anything that you do to just kind of like reassure yourself or prepare before performing?
I mean, walking barefoot outside is usually
good. Grounding.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes not necessarily when we're like in a urban city, but
right. Yeah. usually just drink beer, which is probably not the way to go. Like, I mean, and the more that we play, that's not sustainable, you know? I know it's not like a spiritual practice, but that's what I do. I mean,
no, I kind of love that
Everybody has a way to
answer.
relax.
yeah, I didn't tonight. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it also can differ depending on, the venue you're playing at and whatnot. So in terms of like where you like to play in Vermont, are there any like go-to spots that you are drawn to that you like performing at?
Well, honestly, I don't think we've played a bad show. Oh my God. Like,
The most amazing show was crazy.
like,
It was our first show, just the two of us without
Okay.
Steve and Eric.
Yeah.
It was last October at
yeah,
Junk Teaks.
at Junk Teaks.
Oh,
And it was like,
okay.
it was the craziest, like, I mean, you don't usually think of like, it was maybe the third or fourth venue that we had tried. Like, I mean, like, it was one of these gigs that like, all we knew was the date going into it. Like, no, we
Yeah.
didn't know what the lineup was. We didn't know where it was going to be. Like, nothing. Like, I mean, it was all up in the air. Every single thing about it changed. While like, Blood from Albany was coming up, or maybe Troy, New York, I guess is where they're from. But they were like on the road, and like we went through 3 different venues that were double booked, and like all these weird things happened, and we finally ended up at Junk Teaks, where I've never been.
Mhm.
You usually don't think of like an antique store as being like, okay, this is going to be a great show,
Yeah.
but it was legit one of the most fun shows I
Mm.
have ever played in my entire life. It was
Wow.
can't even talk about it. It was
I
like
think, well, I think
Yeah.
because it was in October, there
Yeah.
was like the college kids were around,
there was
Yeah.
and there were like maybe
hundreds.
400 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
It was a
It
really
was-
fun night.
That's awesome.
unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been in the Junk Teaks place. Is it like pretty big to house that many people, or were there people like
It's a
outside?
backyard thing, so
It's backyard,
not
okay.
indoors.
Yes.
So they only operate
Yeah.
seasonally.
And it was
Okay.
raining.
It-
Like
well,
Oh, wow.
everything that could
at
go
the
wrong went
end,
wrong, and it
after
was still
our set.
awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. What do you feel like in like your words like characterizes like a good performance to you? Like, do you feel like it's like a connection you have with the audience that's there, or like, I feel like it's like always a feeling, right? Like
Yeah.
as a performer, like you lock in and you like feel it. But what is that feeling like to you?
Audience is a really big piece
Mhm.
of it. I think,
Yeah.
like, we played a good show in Brooklyn last year, but we were opening and we didn't have local ties
Support.
there.
Yeah.
And
Well, we did. but-
there weren't a lot of people there
Mhm.
yet. They came later, and
Right.
that was like, it was challenging for that reason.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, we actually kind of argue about this sometimes. Like, I mean, not with our own shows, but when, like, we saw. Okay, so we saw, who was that band? Parquet Courts. We saw Parquet Courts, and I
This is the
didn't like it. And so, like, yeah, it was like a
We
legit
argue about
argument.
this.
Yeah, like, because I felt like they didn't. I think the job of a performing band is to connect with the audience
Mhm.
and to make you feel something. And
Yeah.
I felt like they were just playing their songs, and they were
Mm.
good. I mean, like they played really well, but I felt like they didn't do the job that you're supposed to do,
Mm.
and that made me mad. And I talked about it for a really long time, and you
And I
got
liked
kind of
it.
annoyed with it.
I had fun. I was like, raining on my parade, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad show. It was a good show. Like they
Mhm.
did good. It's just like I don't know. I
Yeah.
noticed that.
Totally. I mean, well, that's kind of the beauty of art, right? Like some people it's going to resonate with, others it's not. So, so I kind of have to keep at it because you never know who you might connect with. But I guess like, so what would you hope like the audience would get out of your performance? Like, is there anything like specific that you would like, you'd be like, wow, like, yes, this is the goal.
You can't control it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that people have an experience,
Mhm.
like some sort of emotional experience. And I don't think it's necessarily the one that we're like aiming for. You can't control other people's experience. I just hope that there's something in it that they can connect to that
Mhm.
sparks something. But like, I don't know what I'm doing, like I don't go with an
Mhm.
intention and a goal. And like, I think I'm going to be able to do something. I just do what I have to do. Like
Mhm.
literally cannot stop myself from doing.
Yeah.
And hopefully everybody has a good time or
Right.
a time.
Yeah. Allow for the space to have like their own authentic experience. Is there anything like that you would want them to get, or do you feel like you're aligned with that?
Money.
Money.
Sorry.
No, that's a good one.
Please
Never
pay your
hurts,
artist.
but, as far as like, I don't know, it's always really nice to hear like from people that, that's just like after a show, they walk up and they're like, that was awesome, you
Mm-hmm.
guys. Like, I don't know. Then they start
Mhm.
referencing, you
Yeah.
know, certain artists, and like sometimes it's somebody that you never really thought of.
Mm.
Connecting, you know, sound to, you
Yeah.
know, styles, but
Right.
it's really
right.
cool, like to
Mhm.
hear things or
Mhm.
artists that maybe we've never heard of. That it's like, oh, this is somebody to check out, and
Totally.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
definitely.
think we are a musically obsessed house, so we're
Mhm.
like almost never not listening to music.
Mhm. I love that. I mean, inspiration comes from everywhere, right? So it's good to keep, being a good listener as well. And you never know what could inspire you with your own music. Um, awesome. Well, we have a couple minutes left. I know you have one more song, but before we get into that last tune, I always just like to give people the chance to let us know how best to support you. So you're going on tour. Like, where can people listen to you next live and just listen to your tracks in general?
Yeah. So, well, the best way to support us is to reach out to us to play a show at your house or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
or maybe not your house. I don't know. Your house. Sure. Your house. Your birthday
Your-
party.
yes.
You're like, whatever. We'll
Bar
absolutely.
mitzvahs.
Your graduation
Yes.
party, future party for your wedding. All right.
Mhm.
Like, it's party for a reason. We do have a website, futureparty.band.
Yes.
And we're on Bandcamp. And we're on social media. Like and
Mhm.
follow us on Instagram, Future Party Band, because we're trying really hard with Instagram, even though
Mhm.
we're not that good at it. It's hard.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that covered it.
I think that's
Oh
about it,
yeah. So yeah, we're so far. I think our only Vermont show on the tour is
Bristol.
Bristol.
Yep.
Okay.
It's going to be an outdoor experience
Yep.
at the Bristol Collaborative Campus,
Hmm.
and we're pulling together some other local bands for that, so it's gonna be fun.
Nice. I actually love that it's in Bristol because I feel like sometimes people forget that there's places to play outside of Chittenden County.
Yes.
No hate to Chittenden County
Right.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
But
There's a whole
It's right
state out
down the
there.
street from us. So
Yeah.
we're
Right.
down there.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And as of like this year, we're rural now. So like we live in New Haven.
Okay.
You know.
Yep. Yeah.
So we're out there. And I want to bring weird noises out to the countryside.
Yeah, as you should. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Bring the party there.
Yep. There's a lot of like folk and bluegrass and jam music in Vermont, and it's sort of we're
Hmm.
slowly but more frequently now connecting with other bands
Yeah.
that kind of align with our sound. So
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
that's been really fun to
Totally.
discover.
Yeah. Have you found that it's hard to find spaces for your music these days? Because I feel like that's something I've unfortunately been seeing
Yeah.
that these more heavy rock, heavy metal bands, punk bands are there's not as
Yeah.
many spaces. So is that something you've found as well?
Yeah, and also venues are just closing
Right.
in Burlington. That's
Mhm.
tough.
Totally.
Yeah. No, it's definitely concerning, and I think about it a lot. But I also think, art happens in the rubble. Like I think,
Mhm.
and not it's not ideal, but that's also a reality, and I think that's kind of where we're gonna be for a little while. So I think it's just it's like when you put concrete over grass and then it pushes through the freaking concrete.
Mhm.
It's just stronger than you would think.
Yeah.
And I think art is like that, even though it does feel,
Mhm.
some legendary venues are shutting down, and it's like, where is Burlington going to be?
Right.
5 years from now, we don't know. But I do know people are going to keep making music, and they're going to keep
Mhm.
finding ways to do this. It's going to change, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Ride the wave.
ride the
Yeah.
freaking waves.
I love that example of the concrete in the grass. I feel like you couldn't have put it any better than that. Well, awesome. Well, what
Thanks.
is your last song of the evening? Do you want to give us a bit of an overview?
Yeah. So this is like our danciest number.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
It's called
It's called
Celebrate.
Celebrate. This is the title track
Oh,
on
nice.
our new album. And it's low-key the saddest song
Hmm.
I've written recently. All right.
This one's about his mom.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, yeah, we'll talk about it later. Okay, kind of rip this out here. I don't want to break your stuff, but I need it.
There we go.
And that's us.
Celebrate by Future Party. Love it.
Right. Here, I'll just on the end.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your music with us tonight and coming on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun.
Yeah, and everyone who is tuning in, make sure to follow Future Party and listen into their music. But yeah, this has been Rocket Shop, everyone. Up next week, we have Dogface in the studio on the 28th. So make sure to tune in next week as well at the scheduled time, 8 p.m. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Abby BK, and this has been Rocket Shop Radio Hour. We'll see you next time. Yay!